Larry Allen. I'm going to welcome you to Lamps Lab. So, first thing I want to ask you about is just what was it like growing up as a kid?
Well, as I tell a lot of people, I'm a true hillbilly because I was born in Kentucky, just about 30 miles outside Lexington. My family was, both my parents were fourth grade educated, and they were looking for a job, and they heard jobs were up around Hamilton. So we moved to Hamilton when I was about 8 or 9 months old. I think no one knew which way Dooley-Doo was because that's where a lot of jobs were. And of course, the hillbillies called Toledo Dooley-Doo. Oh, but anyway, and so Hamilton has a lot of people in Hamilton are from, the Appalachian area. And, it was a situation where I enjoyed Hamilton, but we moved a lot. I went to school in Lincoln, kindergarten, first grade, got to know my friends, went to Pearson second grade, which was in Linden Wall. Then I went back to Lincoln in third grade. Then I went to McKinley in fourth. Then I finished in elementary at Monroe. Wow. And all those experiences was really good for me. And my grandmother was well educated. She lived with us until I was like 12. And I have a lot of people like Rich Hindle, and that was on the state championship team in '62, and that worked at Fisher Body. He would say he saw me later on. I lived next to him where he ended up marrying his wife when I was much older. Mm-hmm. And he remembered my grandmother. She would never let me out of my yard. She'd say, "Larry Joe." Not many people know Larry Joe. So it was a great experience. As you know, and I'm sure we're going to continue to talk about teaching and coaching. But I got I had a lot of great teachers, a lot of great coaching. Steve Gallivan was a PE teacher at Monroe. He got me going playing basketball. As I said to you before, up until fifth grade, I was playing basketball like with a kickball. No one around my house played basketball. Only time I played basketball was on one of the playgrounds at McKinley or Monroe, and I got to play in the Y had a program called Gray Y, and I played sixth grade Gray Y basketball, and that was kind of my beginning of basketball. Now I played Little League baseball. I was on 2 city championships, which didn't help at all, except maybe was a decent fielder. I think as a 10-year-old, I may have had 2 hits. And so I was, 45 feet it seemed like it was a quick pitch to me. And, but I was on West Side Red Sox, and we won 2 Hamilton Fairfield City Championships and got to be around great coaches then. A guy named Ed Fowler, Mr. Arendt, and Newt Wagenfield. And they all children that went through Hamilton. Some of them were good athletes. And so I got to have a good coaches at that level. And then as I moved up, I played Babe Ruth. I was more involved with baseball than really basketball. Mm-hmm. Played for Wright Burnett. He was 2 teachers, Paul Burkhardt, which ended up being an administrator in Hamilton, and another gentleman named Mike Schuler. They chose me as a 13-year-old. And I always ask them, where did you pick me up? First, second, third, fourth, or fifth? And they always wanted to be kind of nice and say third. I'm not sure if I got picked up in the third because I came out of Little League. I was not a very good hitter. But all of a sudden in baseball, when it went from 45 feet to 60 feet 6 inches, the ball looked like it was like a big balloon. Mm-hmm. And so I had a guy, and then after they left, after my first year, I had a guy named Gene Myers. Probably one of the most important people early on for me too, because he gave me my first coaching job. After I played 2 years for him as a 14 and 15-year-old. And one of the things I had that I was proud of, on the lower diamond at the west side, there's upper diamond and a lower diamond, I was one of the few 13-year-olds ever to hit one over the football scoreboard. And I think Paul Burkhardt, that's when I was 13. I was only 13 then. Paul Burkhardt and Mike Schuler still talks about that, where they, big, I was just a skinny little guy, not little, skinny, tall, Ichabod Crane kind of guy. And, but Gene was a very good coach, well known in the West Side with Little League and Babe Ruth. And when I turned 16, which I could no longer be the baseball player, even though before I got to Wright Burnett, they won the city championship. And then as a 16-year-old, being a coach with Gene Myers, we also won the city championship. Mm. And that was my first really chance to coach. And that was a good experience for me. I really enjoyed that. And then while I played basketball at Taft, I ended up not playing baseball, even though I loved baseball. A guy named Kevin Greavy kind of talked me out of, we decided not to play baseball, which, that was one of the things. Kevin Greavy was kind of a big name back then. And matter of fact, he's the one of the top scouts for the Charlotte now. And he couldn't come to his 50th reunion this past weekend because he was working with Jordan and all of them down there to get their draft. So I had a lot of connections with us, a lot of people that were good coaches, good people. And as a kid in Hamilton, I didn't know anybody. I remember people telling my parents, "Oh, you need to go to Garfield because, it's political on the Taft side. It's all political." Well, guess what? It wasn't political.